Hello everyone, thank you for joining NextGen IT courses. So I welcome you all to our free demo for the Palo Alto course. And today we have with us our trainer Bhagya Shree, who is a TAC or Technical Assistant Center engineer from Ireland. And she has experience in multiple domains such as cybersecurity, network security, and cloud security as well. Welcome Bhagya Shree ma'am. Over to you now.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I hope everyone are safe. And now let's begin with the introduction. So my full name is Bhagya Shree. So I have around 7+ years of industry experience. I started working as um, in the IT infrastructure, and then eventually I moved to IT data center, and then I worked as a Palo Alto TAC engineer, and also I worked with Deloitte, where I was a responsible person for managing stakeholders, their infrastructure, designing, and as well as troubleshooting the infrastructure. So this is overall my background in network and network security, further concentrating on only Palo Alto firewalls. So let me share my screen. I hope everyone can see my screen. Can you confirm?
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Uh, okay. So let's start for why this course is important and who all can take this course. So this is especially for the persons who want to explore their career into network and network security, and as well as who are passionate about firewalls, network security, cyber security, and the other aspects around uh, the firewalls. It's not only the Palo Alto product, it's about how you are securing your network in your infrastructure. If you just learn one of the product, either you can go for Palo Alto or maybe Fortinet or Cisco. So the main fundamentals that you need to learn first is basic networking. So either you can be a beginner in the networking, or you maybe have 2 to 3 years of experience where you want to uh, you know explore more other career aspects, and as well as um, have more building, or you want to explore basic other cybersecurity products as well, or the students, professionals who want to um, pursue their careers into network and network security. So I would say it is good to have basic networking skills. Otherwise, if you are absolutely beginner, then it is fine. It's like 0 to 3 years of experience or intermediate level networking professionals who can join this job. So apart from that, once you learn Palo Alto firewalls or the Palo Alto products, or would say the basic networking and the uh, other aspects of network security, what all jobs you can have. So the first and foremost thing is you can work in the IT infrastructure. So nowadays, what I observe the trend is it's usually before when I started working, there were different departments for um, core IT infrastructure, cloud engineer, cybersecurity, firewalls. So even now um, the domains are evolving, but what I really observed is nowadays people are hiring infrastructure engineer. So they usually want us to know all these different aspects, not only one particular domain, but they want it's basically evolving into infrastructure engineer, as most of the things or the automations, or if you want to like build a firewall, there are multiple resources that you can have and automate the firewall. So it's about learning basics and then eventually going forward to learn one vendor product firewall, and then eventually go further and learn cloud, and eventually go further and learn cybersecurity aspects, or maybe AI and ML based on your interest. So that's what the trend is now. So I know it is like overwhelming that while we are studying. So as a beginner, I understand it's like while we're studying, we want to touch each and every aspects as per the interview perspective. But what really the interviewer expect is based on the job description or the role. So it's that how you basically it's a troubleshooting or the problem solving job. So how you tackle the problem, how you understand the issue that is coming on either a firewall or maybe your um, network infrastructure. So how you resolve that, those steps they really want. So you can work in IT services. There's many service-based companies who provide service to multiple uh, multiple vendors or multiple companies. You can work in banking and financial services. There are many opportunities in healthcare as well these days, because the healthcare security is very crucial, and we have been seeing multiple attacks on the healthcare systems. So everywhere there is an opportunity that we can grab once we learn network and network security. So I would not say it's just about the firewall, it's about how you build your knowledge around the firewall. So that is very important and crucial aspects that I would like to say. So yeah, any questions? Okay, let's move forward. So and while we are going through journey, like once we start our course, so I would especially concentrate on live scenarios, how we troubleshoot, what are the uh, thing. I mean, we will start with the basics of the Palo Alto, how it is, how it looks, what is different parts of the Palo Alto firewalls, and then creating a policies, monitoring the logs, and maybe the other configuration methods. So, and then I will mostly concentrating on real-time scenarios, troubleshooting methods, how we in our day-to-day life, how we handle Palo Alto firewalls, what are the different topics in that. So I'll be revolving around that. So, and also if you once you're ready with these kind of a basics, so we will touch upon PCNSA and PCNSE certifications if you would like to have those certifications as well. So we will have a background review of that, and also so there will be some interview tips and tricks that I would be giving, and also there are multiple hands-on labs that we can see around. So just give me a moment. Yeah. Can anyone confirm they can see my screen?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. Let's start to talk about the Palo Alto products, how they are, how they divided. So, as you can see on my screen, the Palo Alto products are divided their products into Prisma, Strata, and Cortex. So, let's talk about Strata. So, as we are discussing more about the Strata products in our curriculum or in our course, Strata is nothing but the firewalls domain. So whatever the Palo Alto products firewalls they have, they have segregated them in the strata domain. Like it can be a physical firewall, it can be virtual firewall, cloud-based firewall, it can be containerized firewall, pods, and yeah, these things they want to, and also Panorama. Panorama will also comes into a strata product. So these are all strata products. Let's come to Prisma. Prisma is nothing but cloud-based, um, the artificial intelligence security product. So they have again different products under Prisma Cloud, and basically the Prisma Cloud is nothing but they will give you for the customers, for the ease of customers, they will build an entire setup behind, like on the Palo Alto, and then they will directly provide that infrastructure to customers so that it will be easy. But as compared to Strata, in Strata, once the product is delivered or the device has been sent to the customers, they will have to start building that product from the scratch. So that's the difference between Strata and Prisma. Let's go to Cortex. So Cortex is nothing but the endpoint security. So if you have um, if you have heard about these antiviruses or maybe like Cisco VPN or some sort of like other vendor VPN, so it is similar to that. The Cortex is nothing but uh, the endpoint security. So now in this course, let's as we are exploring more on the firewalls. So we will be concentrating on the strata domain. So it's just good to know that what all the different products they have, how they have divided, and what are the different domains in the Palo Alto networks. So this is how it is. So I would like to repeat that we are concentrating on the strata products. So now let's see what are the different PA series firewalls. Oh, sorry. So there are these are the physical firewalls. This is how the firewall setup looks like. And as you can see, the PA series firewalls, I mean, um, there are different types of series of firewalls. If you see the first firewall, which is PA 400 series, which is very small box, and depending on what kind of a traffic that you are getting or depending on your company size, you can decide which device you can go for. So PA 400 is a pretty small firewall. As you can see here, the firewall design, these are the LAN ports. I'm highlighting, you can have a view on it. And uh, so these are all the internal ports, sorry, LAN ports, and then you can have you have the power cables, management cable here, and then this is a power cable. So once you have a device delivered into your company or your organization, so you should, this is good to know that this is how the device looks like. So if you can see, I just drew a line in between. So why? I'll just explain you. The Palo Alto Firewalls has the fundamentals that it has data plane and management plane. Why? So what is, now let's talk about what is data plane and management plane. So management plane is nothing but the device, once you have your device in your hand, so you give the IP address for that, you take access, you control that device through that management IP, and maybe a DNS, DHCP configurations. So these all other aspects that we can have. So those are all managed by the management plane. Okay, now let's talk about the data plane or the control plane. So it is so in the data plane or the control plane, so the ingress and egress traffic is uh, monitored, or it is controlled on the data plane. Suppose, let's say you have uh, maybe 3 or 4 trust networks, like one is DMZ, one is your internal um, VIP or VP network, or one is HR, finance. So you have different, basically segregated those different LAN networks. So those LAN networks you can attach it here. So you can have those LAN networks coming on this, and then one of the cable you can directly go and attach it to your internet service provider. So I mean, before we jump in there, let's talk about like why firewall is needed, what it is, why it is required, so and where it is placed. So the firewall is, it just inspects the traffic, right? So it filters out whatever the traffic that from your internal network to your external network. So that's why we always connect one of the egress network to our internet. I mean, it depends how your infrastructure is. You may have some different devices in between, but it's always uh, it's always on the exterior side of the network. So this is just an example of the PA400 series firewall, but there are different series firewalls, like you can see PA800 series firewall. The design is pretty much same. It's again data plane and the control plane. In the data plane, it's all about monitoring your traffic. In management plane, it's about managing your device, like DHCP, DNS, all these traffics. And PA, this is pretty big firewall, like PA 5400 series firewalls. So these are, again, it's same. See, if you can see all these um, control planes, management plane, and then this is probably a management. Uh, the image is not clear though. So that's okay. So this is, and also we have, they have also PA 3K series firewalls, 5K series firewalls, 7K series firewalls. So these are all physical firewalls, and these are all ML powered next generation firewalls. So um, once once you have a Palo Alto firewall device in your hand, how you configure that? Like, this is all about the physical firewalls. You just plug in the management console to your laptop, and then you provide an IP address for that, and then you start building your own firewall or configuring it according to your requirement, your company requirement. So next, let's talk about VM series firewalls. So the Palo Alto has the software based firewalls. Those are called VM series firewalls. If you have different if you don't want to buy hardware product in your data center, so they have uh, VM series firewalls where we can deploy those firewalls into AWS, um, ACI, Azure, or Oracle, VMware ESXi, anyway. So the one advantage of VM series firewall is that it's let us automate. So that's what the thing is. So as nowadays everything is automating, I mean, it's there are still 30% of the market in some companies. They will build a firewall one by one. That's how their framework is, that's how their rules is. But most of the companies nowadays moving on to the cloud, and they want to build a firewall with automation. Nobody want to spend a time on the firewalls, like just to configuring that for an entire day or 2 days, something like that. So VM series firewall, it's very easy to use, and one of the example that make infrastructure engineers or the firewall engineers make it easy as, suppose let's say you want to build 100 firewalls for your company, and it will eventually take lot of resources to build those 100 firewalls, right? So what they will do, we have a concept called bootstrapping, so where on the AWS or maybe Azure platform, whatever the platform that you choose on the cloud, you can have that script ready, or maybe there is a concept called bootstrapping. You can have the entire 100 devices hosted at the same single time. So that's how the VM series firewalls are. And there are multiple concepts like, um, suppose let's say a scale in and scale out, like if during your, suppose let's say one firewall will cost you $100. This is just an example. If it is costing you $100 every month, then that is hosted on maybe a data center, right? So what we can do in the VM series firewall during peak hours, like during business hours 9 to 6, we can have 100 firewalls, and during non-business hours, we can reduce that and get back to 50 or maybe 30 firewalls. So if here we are reducing a cost um, that the product is taking, and also we are managing our complete infrastructure. So this is very cost effective. This is one of the feature of the VM series firewall, I would say. And then let's come to the CN series firewalls. So these are containerized firewalls. These are pods on the Azure containers or Amazon ECS GCP containers. So they host all these firewalls all together. And let's talk about the Panorama. So what is Panorama? Panorama is a management device. So the Panorama will manage all the firewalls that you have. Suppose let's say you have 100 firewalls. You can onboard all those 100 firewalls on the Panorama, and you can manage them in a single view or in
Oh,
the single platform.
yeah, ma'am, sorry for interrupting. So, guys,
Yes.
if you have any kinds of doubts, so you can also ask them in between, and
Yeah.
you can share your messages in the chat also, and you can talk to ma'am directly.
Yes. So any questions on the Panorama or okay, wait, just a moment.
Hi, I have one question.
Yes,
Uh,
please.
yeah, so uh, uh, in those PA firewalls where you have shown that data plane and management plane, right? So
Mm-hmm.
management plane, the configurations we do like for egress and ingress and egress traffics, right? That
Yeah,
is
right.
what gets executed at runtime in data plane, is it?
Can you repeat that, please?
Okay, so there is a management plane and another one is data plane, right? So when there is a data plane is for live traffic and management plane is for configuring egress and ingress traffic, is it like that? And whatever
Uh,
you configure in ingress and egress traffic is executed in data plane, is it like that?
it's yeah. So technically, it is like that. Suppose let's say that if I can make it more clear, so in the management plane, um, so you can monitor your, or once you take the access of the firewall, so you just type the IP address of the device and then you take a access, right? So it can be, I mean, if you have worked on the switch or routers or maybe firewalls, so that traffic, that HTTPS and that IP address, so that is a management plane. You can route that traffic to the data plane as well. There is no problem in that, but it's eventually considered like that. So management plane is nothing but it's um, it's it's like accessing your device or maybe configuring DHCP, DNS traffic, and as well as the service routes. There is a concept called service routes in the Palo Alto. So where what kind of a service route that you can have, so that also you can decide on the management plane. This is all about the management plane. And on the data plane, that you are right that the ingress, the trust and untrust network can be monitored on the, or it is monitored on the control plane. Is it answered
Yeah.
to your question?
Thank you.
All right. Any questions?
Ma'am, I have one question.
Yes, please.
You said that when we are deploying our virtual firewalls, VM firewalls in cloud environment, and during our office time, suppose 9 to 6, we deployed our firewalls, we configured as per our requirement. And when we stop that firewall, so we have to remove that firewall from the cloud environment, either AWS or Azure, or we just power off that firewall, and when we started, and that the configuration will be resumed automatically. And on that case, the cloud provider will charge any cost because we are consuming the platform, the consuming the services of that firewall. We engaging the firewalls. So on that time, the cloud provider will charge something or not?
Okay. So that is, suppose let's say you are hosting a device on on any of the cloud platform. If you host one device, the cost is different. If you host two devices, the cost is different. So I'm just saying a device because just a general example, it can be a Windows computer, it can be a firewall, it can be anything, right? So if you have ever hosted a device, right, on the cloud platform, so how it is you basically, once the device is on, once the device is up, the charge starts on the cloud platform, right? If the device is down, the charge is reduced.
Now, sometimes
So
AWS and other cloud service providers charging,
mhm.
applying the charges, even though you have stopped your servers. It's depend on the you are consuming the volumes and other resources like elastic IPs and all that. On that
Yeah, right.
cases, if you
Mm,
stopped your instance or EC2 servers, even though you have to applied you cloud service provider applied some charges on that basis. So my
mhm.
question is that when we stopped our virtual firewalls in the cloud environment, on that
Mhm.
case, they will charge something or not?
So entire cost is not reduced. So I would not say that the complete cost, 0% cost is reduced. So I would say while we are during our business peak hours, if you are consuming the 100 firewalls and the cost is $100, during off business hours, we shut down the 50 firewalls, rest of the 50 firewalls, and the cost is reduced. So it may be reduced by another 50%, right? So while the 100 firewalls are running, so all the resources were consuming. So at that point, the $100 cost will be reduced to $50. So it's not completely that they won't charge you for the turned off devices. They will charge for sure because however you are using their platform, but the cost is reduced. Is that
Okay,
answered your
so
question?
okay, ma'am. So here cost is being applied on the basis of the utilization of the firewall, right? So
Right, right. And it's basically resources. In the backend, we attach virtual CPUs, memory, RAM, right?
yeah, makes
So
sense. Yeah.
if those virtual resources have been reduced, then or um, detached from the firewall, then definitely the cost is reduced. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, ma'am. So now we are building virtual firewall over the cloud, right? Okay.
Uh, Here, yeah, I would start from the basics in our course. So we will build, I mean, definitely when I'm showing you um our lab setup, it's virtual only. So I cannot have the physical firewall, right? So it's virtual firewall only, but I'm not sure about the platform. So it can be VMware or it can be AWS. Yeah. Okay. Any questions on the Panorama?
So Panorama is related to FMG, right? In FortiGate, we are using Forti Manager, right? It's like a
Right. Yeah. It's similar. So in Panorama, what we can do is like we can if you have two different sites, for example, in US or maybe in one in US and one in India. So you can group those firewalls based on the region. You can it is called device groups, or you can group the device based on your utilization, like DMZ or cloud firewalls, physical firewalls. So you can onboard any device, any firewall to the Panorama. So you can group them. And suppose, let's say you want to make a change on 50 firewalls, which is like your India branch on the on the branch. So you want to make a changes on all those 50 firewalls. What you can do, you can just do a change on um, a single change that is required on the Panorama for that device group. You can push that a configuration change in the single go. So you will, once you push that configuration, the configuration change is pushed to the firewalls, and the uh, commit is required. And then so on the Panorama you can observe which all devices have taken that configuration change, and some device may fail on that, some device may succeed on that. So you can monitor that as well on the Panorama. If it is failing, then you can go back and check that device why it is failed. So those all things we can do on the Panorama. And the Panorama can be a virtual Panorama, or it can be a physical Panorama as well. Okay, so now let's talk about the different features of the next generation firewalls. So application ID is one of the important thing in the Palo Alto, because so what is application ID? Any idea what is app ID? Okay, so whenever there is,
apology, ma'am. So it is a like a web filtering, right? Application ID.
correct. Yeah. So it's similar. So what is like so whenever the firewall concept is, it's detects the traffic, it filters out the traffic, right? So whenever a internal user, or maybe uh, any of your employee that you are working, so if he want to access FTP service or SSH service or SSL, or any of the service, so or maybe it can be Zoom, Facebook. So all these applications are filtered on the firewalls. So if we configure those things, those, and then so based on these application IDs, the firewall will allow, even though it can be your internal hosted apps, maybe a developers that they have their own web servers that is hosted in your organization. So if you enter that app ID, or if you allow that traffic, the firewall will recognize those particular traffic and it will allow. So that is what app ID is. And content ID is nothing but content detections. So it is uh, it is all about antivirus, uh, antivirus and the other things like how these content IDs are managed on the next generation firewall. So the backend, the Palo Alto cloud will be, the Palo Alto is managed all these database on the cloud. So they will keep on changing the content IDs, and wherever there is a threat detected, um, around the globe. So those threat IDs are um, listed, or those threat IDs are maintained on the database, and that is pushed to the firewalls. So every week you have to, every week, or some of things are done on the every week, and some things are doing on, like, we have to do it on every day. So those content ID updates are pushed to the firewalls. So that is that can be a threat ID, antivirus protection, and all other protections like autofocus. These are all coming under content ID. And then next talk about user ID. So user ID detection is nothing but your global protect users, or your VPN users, or your internal users. So you can detect them, or you can allow them based on the user ID. And the device ID is nothing but your IP address, host name, uh, so all these things that you can configure. So these are the different features of the strata or the next generation firewall technologies. So there are multiple features, not only these that I have listed. So there are a lot. Eventually, while we started learning, we will explore one by one. I would like to talk about the global protect. So global protect is nothing but um, VPN. So it's so whenever you have your users working from home, or if you want them to connect from a VPN, so the global protect is one of the VPN you can install on the end user machine, and then you can monitor those user traffic on the firewall base with the help of global protect. Okay, so this is all about. And if I would like to, like, just the basic aspects where the firewall is located in your organization, this is a simple architecture, a simple network diagram. So as I always said that the firewall is located always on the exterior side. So this is all your LAN network. So this is entire thing is your LAN network. Um, any idea what is LAN network?
Yeah, where industry is connected or customer network is connected.
Yeah, so your internal network basically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it can be like HR department, IT department, right? So these are all something like that. And it is connected to your layer 2, layer 3, like switch or router. And then it comes to the firewall, right? So the traffic, whatever it is there, it will filter through firewall, and then it will go to the internet. And the reverse traffic will also come to the firewall, and it will return to the user. So this is how the firewall will inspect the traffic. So in the firewall, there is a concept. There is a concept that the firewall will have all the traffic. I mean, the life of a packet. Have you heard about the life of a packet in the firewall?
Yeah.
Yeah. So any idea what it does?
So
180 seconds.
time taken by firewall to process the packet means, when, for instance, when packet arrived on in this interface, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And after that, I can relate with the FortiGate firewall. On FortiGate firewall, it is doing TCP/IP stack. Then
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
after TCP/IP stack, they are doing some DNet check, and after
Mm.
DNet check, they are doing some routing lookup, then policy check, then UTM features. Then after UTM features, doing SNet, and then traffic shaping, then exit out the packet. So this is the life of
Yeah.
it.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. So this is similar way in the Palo Alto firewall as well. So once the packet enters to the Palo Alto firewall, how it processed. So it is how what all the things that we can that it will check first. So either security policy it will check first, or a NAT policy, or the routing policy. So there is a different concept, a little different, but it is exactly the same with a Fortinet firewall. So how the packet is processed and sent to the data plane, and from the data plane how it is sent out. So uh, that's like a life of a packet on the firewall. And yeah. Uh,
Hello, ma'am. Basically, packet duration is 180 seconds, huh?
Um, Actually, I'm not sure about the timing. We can set the, I mean, we can configure that time. I knew, but the default time, I don't remember as of now. I can check and let you know.
Okay.
All right. So this is how the UI looks like on the firewall. So this is just a basic example that how a PA220 firewall looks like. So as you can see, first thing we can see is a dashboard on top, right? So on the dashboard, you can configure this dashboard as per your requirement. So but this is like a typical dashboard that we can have, and it has all the information that we require on the dashboard. So you can see the device name, IP address, and what all the like content IDs or that has been installed, and what is the model, and what is the uptime of the device. So these are some of the important things that we see once we like just log into the device, right? And this is a system resources. So there will be another, the PA220 has only one plane, so that's the reason it's only management plane, management CPU. So usually you will have management CPU and data plane CPU. So the CPU monitoring is very important. So um, if we load, if we are like crossing 80% of the CPU or 90% of the CPU utilization, the firewall may go down or it will lag. So that's the reason we have a feature called we can monitor these CPU utilizations. Um, sorry, where we can reduce the CPU utilizations and I mean, monitor these CPU utilizations, and if there is any problem in that, we can identify and reduce the CPU utilization. So that's what that's what it is. And then the other thing is, yeah. So this is these are the top applications. I'll show you what next is. So this top application is which is comes under the ACC report. So under ACC report, you can monitor what the firewall is doing basically. So suppose let's say you have 100 users, all of those 100 users are accessing Facebook, and it's basically going to the turtleneck, that entire your bandwidth is utilizing only accessing the Facebook. So you identify that your network has been lagging, and you identify that the websites are loading slow, your applications that are hosted behind your servers are um, like the access is very low. So you have to basically um, do or divide the network. So some of your bandwidth you need to dedicate only to the application servers, and some of the bandwidth that you need to dedicate only to access other websites. So we can monitor those things under ACC report. So suppose let's say it is a troubleshooting tool. It is very helpful when we are troubleshooting any application IDs or any user activity, threat activity. So the ACC report is very useful. So next comes to the monitoring tab. So under monitoring tab, so this is the monitoring tabs one of the example. You can have system logs, threat logs, global protect logs, all different kinds of logs that we can monitor under the monitor tab. And next comes to the policies. So under policies, you have security policies, NAT policies, so different policies or other things that we can configure. And next thing is objects. So objects is nothing but suppose let's say you want to have a group of objects like list of IP addresses, like 10 IP address. Instead of individually creating those IP address, you can go to the objects, create that object group and attach that to the policies. And then next comes to the networking. So in the network, you have interface configuration, zone configuration, and routing configuration. So all these configurations, once we have a firewall in hand, we can do all these things on the networking. Under device, it's mostly about management configurations. So under device, we have, if you want to like have initially once you get the device in hand, you have to complete your management settings, right? So you can go to the device and then you can finish the management settings, and as well as the under device tab you can the upgradation, the PanOS upgrade, the OS of the Palo Alto is called PanOS, right? So the PanOS upgradation, you can keep on checking what are the latest updates that they have, and based on the requirement, you can upgrade the firewall. So this is just a simple example of the Palo Alto dashboard.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, please.
How will you get the logs related to ISP or stabilize and ISP tracking? It means whenever we shut down the another ISP line and how will work. And in the past, how many times is a downtime and is a
Mhm.
fluctuation time? How will get from the firewall?
Okay. So whenever you connect to the ISP or a untrust interface, right? So as you can see, this is a trust network and this is an untrust network. Suppose let's say you have another ISP provider, right? So you will connect another cable. So this is a trust network and this is an untrust network. And if you remember, I showed you the management plane and the data plane, right? So under data plane, so these cables you will connect directly to the ISP providers, and these we can monitor under interfaces. So under interface, if you see once the interface goes down or if it has any problem, the device will give you alert under system logs.
But
So
if I
yeah.
want a report or a logs related to the ISP, not a system logs and searching logs. I just want a ISP log. So how will get
ISP.
it from the your from our firewall?
Okay. So, see, it's just a ISP, right? So the device, once you connect the device to any of your ISP is nothing but untrust network, right? So untrust network, when you connect that to a interface, so the firewall will inspect the traffic. It's filters out the trust and untrust network, right? So once you have issues in ISP network or that interface logs are generated and sent out to uh, your, I mean, your system. Like you will be creating the critical logs detection once the interface goes down or once you have any problem in that interface. So for the firewall, it's just the interface. For other things, it's all about, for other things it is all about untrust and trust network.
So, Miss, may I
Mhm.
know in Palo Alto firewall what what options we have when it comes to log forwarding?
Okay. So for the log forwarding, there is a log collector. There is a device called log collector. So for the Panorama only, you can convert that um, as a log collector, or you can convert that device as a Panorama. So there are two options in that. Okay. The first thing, so whenever there is a log generated on the device, for example, there is a policy that is placed on the firewall. So whenever there is a log generated for that policy, either you can forward that log to any of your server like Splunk, or any of
You mean
there is,
external,
yeah,
external?
external servers, or you can
Okay.
forward that to a log collector, and under the log, and that log collector logs you can monitor on the Panorama as well. Is that answer to your question?
Can we do both in parallel, or does it have to go like uh, one at a time?
Okay, so you mean that the external and the log collector, Palo Alto log collector?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, whenever there is a log generated, you, you can either forward that log to your external log collector. At the same time, you can save those logs in your log. In that is also kind of an external log collector only. If you have your a dedicated log collector, the Palo Alto log collector, that will also act as an external log collector for the firewall. And if you have a Splunk, then that will also act as a external log collector.
Ma'am, Splunk is a threat detector, right? It is a SIM tool, and maybe we will not have the access of Splunk, right? So there will be some internal log collector like 40 analyzer in 40 right? So do we have any internal log collector like a 40 analyzer in
See,
for
that's what I told. It's like a log Palo Alto log collector. They have the Panorama. There are two options. You can convert once you have the Panorama license, or once you have the Panorama device in your hand. You can configure that Panorama device as um, log collector, dedicated log collector, or you can have that Panorama as acting as a Panorama, which is a managed device. So if you are converting that device as a log collector, you can forward all of your logs that are generating on the Panorama. Like, let's say you have 400, 500 devices. So basically, you cannot store all those logs which are generating every second. You cannot store them everything on the Panorama, right? So they will have some of the space on the Panorama, but it will overload. So that's why they forward all these logs to the log collector. So the internal they have is um, log collector, the Palo Alto log collector. External, you can choose any of a service that your company wish to.
okay,
Yeah.
now makes sense because Palo Alto Panorama will have means we can see the log for duration of 24 hours, right? On Palo Alto
Um,
Panorama.
no, on Panorama, you can view the logs for 30 days, 60 days, depending on what is the log retention that you configured, right? So usually on the Panorama, we can configure the log retention period, but if you keep on, if the log retention period on the device is more, then the CPU utilization will be more, because it utilizes a lot of space just to store the logs, right? It won't be able to do other activity, so that your device will keep on lagging. So that's the reason people will have a dedicated log collector, and they forward all these logs. So yeah, it depends on the log retention period that we set.
Oh, fine.
Yeah.
So the log collector, we
Mhm.
basically use this on large scale deployments, right? where a
That's right.
firewall is sending logs to
Yes,
dedicated uh,
that's right.
collector instead of storing it locally. And what happens if we are not receiving logs in the log collector? How do we uh, proceed, or what troubleshooting we do?
Mhm. Okay. You mean so in the log collector, so it's just a CLI based. So for the log collectors, we don't have a GUI screen, right? So that's
Mm.
how it is. It's designed. So basically, if the log collector it is not receiving, there is a connectivity between your Panorama and your log collector. How the connectivity is, what is the log forwarding rules that we have. So we need to check on that. If the device is not receiving the logs, there is a Elasticsearch status or the log collector health status that we can check on the log collector, and as well as we can see what is the utilization of those disks. On the log collector you can attach multiple disks like 4 GB RAM or 8 GB RAM, so you can attach those disks. No, not GB, it's TB. So if you add 4 TB disk on the log collector, so it will divide um, those disk into like 2 into 2. So that's how it is designed. So one disk will be 2 TB and another disk will be of disk A, disk B. So we have to check those disk health, how the disk health is, what is the utilization, what is the status of that. So if, and also while the logs will be reading on the log collector based on the Elasticsearch concept. I'm actually exactly not sure on the database concepts. So it's so Elasticsearch is the one of the thing that we keep on checking whenever the logs are not coming, and we can check incoming. I mean, we can keep on checking the incoming logs. When was the last log that has been received, why it's when it stopped. When it stopped, we can go back to the Panorama and see at exactly that point what was if any critical logs that has been generated on the Panorama. So basically this is how we troubleshoot. We initially start with uh, checking on the connectivity between the Panorama and the log collector. Is that answered your question?
Mm. Do we, I mean, like, if we are not receiving logs, uh, is there like a port or a profile? Do we verify that information, or just we look into when was the last log received and when what's happening with the other?
Yeah, so on the particular port, the logs will be forwarded to the log collector. Yeah, we can check on that as well. So it's like a very specific to log collector troubleshooting that you're asking. So um, it actually depends what kind of a logs that you stopped receiving, or is that just all the logs are stopped receiving, um, and how the connectivity is between the Panorama and the firewall. Is there any intermediate device? So it goes like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? Definitely. So the idea of like starting this is to start from the basics and eventually we'll move ahead and um, see some scenario basis. So yes, we will be starting from basic. So if you have just like networking concepts, networking CCNA concepts, then that's good to go. You will be able to eventually relate all the concepts on the firewall. So yeah, it's very good to have a strong networking background, or if you are studying CCNA, or if you are preparing for the interviews for the network engineer or network security engineer, then this is a very good platform to learn the firewalls as well.
Ma'am, can you also present the presentation about our course?
Oh. Give me a moment, it's actually not moving. Yeah, so this is, I think I explained all of these things in the beginning. What exactly you want me to explain in this?
The course combos that we were talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So no problem, ma'am. We can discuss it in the next session about the combos and their career, uh, how the career can succeed. है ना? We can guide the students about the combos and how they will be helpful for their career development, right? In the
Yeah.
next session.
All right. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So thank you so much for this really informative session. And guys, so if you have any kinds of doubts regarding the subject matter, please you can ask them to Bhagya Shree ma'am right now. So for these information regarding the course duration, timings, fees, and everything else, you can reach out to us on our WhatsApp number, and our counselors, admissions counselors, will help you regarding that. But for subject matter, if you have any kind of questions, I request you to please talk to Bhagyashree ma'am for the same.
Yeah. So if you have any technical questions regarding the Palo Alto firewalls, um, or any other things that you want to discuss about the course, you can ask.
Yeah, ma'am, I have one question in terms of demand. Means everything is moving over cloud, right? So just I'm wondering to know how it will impact the network firewall means the firewall which we are using at perimeter level.
It will
Because
not go
because ma'am,
completely.
sorry, apologies, ma'am. So just let me complete, ma'am. So because
Sure.
we are using Palo Alto Prisma and
Mm.
Zscaler for cloud for securing the cloud infrastructure, right?
Yeah.
So just I'm wondering how it will impact this network perimeter firewall.
So yes, it is.
Mhm.
It is not like most of the most of the people are moving away from the data center. Eventually, the complete infrastructure can't be moved 100% on the cloud. So always people, if you want to have a robust or strong infrastructure or a data center, some of the your infrastructure will be on a data center in the physical, and the other part will be on the cloud, right? So that's how the combination. So if the cloud provider, there is a lot of dependency on the cloud providers. So if you keep on depending on the cloud provider for the 100%, what if the entire thing is goes down, right? Your business will shut, right? So that's the reason people will have always um, uh, kind of high availability, or like either some part of their network will be on the data center. On the data center, you will have all these physical devices like hardware devices. On the same wise, on the cloud, you will have a similar setup. So that's how the combo is. So it won't go away completely. There is still a scope that, and nowadays what I have been seeing a trend is, I mean, that's what I told in the beginning, right? So nowadays people are not hiring exactly with the name of firewall engineer, or uh, just like a network security engineer. Now it is renamed as um, infrastructure engineer. I mean, this is what globally I'm observing. Um, People want you to know uh, infrastructure design as well if you are going on the cloud, right? So once you understand the infrastructure concepts, the same thing you can apply on the cloud platform as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, guys, I've just shared the WhatsApp number of our admissions counselor in the chat box, and you can reach out to them in case of any course related queries. So, I think let's wrap up this session. Thank you so much, Bhagya Shree ma'am. So, for queries related to our courses, please reach out to us on WhatsApp. And thank you all for joining us today. Have a good day and stay safe.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day.